Hi everybody, I hope that you're all doing really well. So today I am back to talk about the books that I read in the month of November, my little reading roundup of everything that I've read. Considering that in October, when I got ill, I ended up going into a little bit of a reading slump because I just did not have the energy to read anything. I've actually had a pretty good reading month in November. I managed to finish off 13 books in total. In terms of new books, that included Two Houses, Two Kingdoms, A History of France and England from 1100 to 1300 by Kathryn Hanley. What Writers Read, 35 Writers on Their Favourite Book, edited by Pandora Sykes. How to Be a Tudor, A Dawn-to-Dusk Guide to Everyday Life by Ruth Goodman. Angelika Frankenstein Makes Her Match by Sally Thorne. This Mortal Coil, A History of Death by Doig. Death by Shakespeare. Snake Bites, Stabbings and Broken Hearts by Kathryn Harkup. The Yellow Wallpaper by Perkins Gillman. Rest in Pieces, The Curious Fates of Famous Corpses by Beth Lovejoy. We Wish You a Merry Christmas and Other Poems, chosen and illustrated by Riddell. Advent Street by Duffy. Dating Dr. Dill by Nisha Sharma, and then I also re-listened to Unequal Affections by Lara S. Ormiston, as well as Troy by Stephen Fry. So I don't think that's too bad going. I also had 2 DNFs this month, and there is a little bit of a theme with both of these, and that was that the books that I ended up DNFing this month were both books that were chosen for my in real life book club, so I'm feeling a little bit sheepish about that. And those books were The Haunting Season, which is a short story collection written by a bunch of different historical fiction authors, as well as Death Comes at Christmas by Gladys Mitchell. Yeah, both of them I just really wasn't feeling. And the talk for Death Comes at Christmas is actually going to be the first book club evening that I'm actually able to go to, rather than just reading the book and not attending. And so yeah, I'm just going to be kind of sat in the corner like, I have no thoughts about this book other than I didn't want to read it anymore. So I'm sorry. In terms of my star rating breakdown, we really were all over the place this month. Starting off with Angelika Frankenstein Makes Her Match, which got 1 star from me. And then How to Be a Tudor, Rest in Pieces and The Yellow Wallpaper all got 3 stars. This Mortal Coil got 3.25 stars. Then all of the rest of the books got 4 stars from me. So that is Two Houses, Two Kingdoms, What Writers Read, Death by Shakespeare, We Wish You a Merry Christmas, Advent Street and Dating Dr. Dill. So not too bad, but I'm not sure if there are going to be any books that end up going into my favourite books of the year video, to be honest. Though I did read Dating Dr. Dill all in one day yesterday, so perhaps that has potential. I was just really in the mood for a romance book yesterday, probably because it's so miserable outside. In terms of my fiction to non-fiction breakdown, of the 13 books that I ended up reading, 6 of them were non-fiction, so just under half, which is so much better than the last couple of months where I've been reading entirely fiction. So I think I can give myself a big tick to having participated in non-fiction November. In terms of my genre breakdown, 5 were history non-fiction, 1 was a collection of essays, 3 were romance, 1 was a short story, 2 were poems, and then my final one, I'm not really quite sure how you categorise Troy by Stephen Fry in terms of genre, just go for myths. In terms of individual book review videos, I have already uploaded a review video of What Writers Read by Pandora Sykes, as well as Two Houses, Two Kingdoms by Kathryn Hanley. Angelika Frankenstein, I did a review video alongside The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston, so that will also be linked down below. For How to Be a Tudor by Ruth Goodman, I am considering reviewing this alongside How to Be a Victorian. I've been toying around with the idea of doing a series of videos where I talk about good books for beginners to history, and I feel like this would really hit the mark for that, but I'll probably be leaving that until I go back home and I've actually got access to that book. When we were still in November, I did have plans to do another binder review video where I'm talking about 3 different books on a similar topic, and I was going to do that for Rest in Pieces, Death by Shakespeare and This Mortal Coil, so basically doing a review video about books that are to do with the history of death. However, we got a little bit too late in the month, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't think that a video about the history of death is really good Vlogmas fare, so eventually I will script out and film that video, but I probably wouldn't be uploading it for Christmas. The Yellow Wallpaper, I just do not have enough stuff to say about it. It is just a little short story, so I'm most likely not going to be filming a review of that. Obviously the big theme with these 2 books, Advent Street and We Wish You a Merry Christmas, is that these are both Christmas books, and I'm kind of in 2 minds about how to approach talking about these, because I do have, I think, like 6 other Christmas books still to read that I've bought recently, and the thought I have in my head is it going to be a bit too late to talk about Christmas books by the time I actually probably end up finishing those books? I'm not sure, but you know, it's the thought that I have right now, but I probably wouldn't be doing individual book reviews for either of these. If I was going to talk about them, it would be in a big bind up review video. Dating Dr. Dill, I don't know if I've got enough thoughts about this one to make it an individual book review, even though I did really enjoy it. I don't know, leave that one with me, I'll have a think. In terms of books that I am currently reading, books that you might want to look out for in December, I am currently partway through The Children of Jocasta by Natalie Haynes. Yes, I know that Stoneblind is actually the new release from Natalie Haynes, and I do have that, but I just decided to give this one a go first. A myth retelling of the myth of Oedipus and Jocasta. You just know it's not going to go well. And then to get even more Christmas content in my life, I am reading A History of Our Favourite Christmas Carols from Village Green to Church Choir by Andrew Gant. Andrew Gant you may know as the author of 5 Straight Lines, which I read earlier this year and really enjoyed. So I'm getting more of his work in my life, but just in a Christmassy way. And I'm sure there are going to be many more Christmas books to come. In terms of where my TBR is at the moment, oh god, I imagine that it's just a mess right now. I don't really have a figure for you at this current moment in time. As I've mentioned, I am moving. I am actually going to be moving out of this house tomorrow at the time of filming. So all of my books are just strewn around everywhere. Some books are at my parents' home, some books are here. So I do not have a number for you, I'm afraid. However, in terms of a number that I do have for you, I realised yesterday when I finished Dating Dr. Dill and I put the fact that I'd read that book into Goodreads, I looked at my 2022 reading challenge and realised that I have read 115 books this year, which actually means I have read more books this year than I did last year. In 2021, I read 114 books, so I am one ahead there. In 2020, I read 120 books, so I just need to read 6 more books in order to beat that challenge. 5 to meet it, 6 to beat it. But then in 2019, I actually read 130 books, and that is the most books that I have ever read, which means I would have to read a book every other day in order to beat that number. I don't personally think that I can do it, but it would be doable for some people. And I did read 13 books this month. But no. I don't need to be putting that pressure on myself when I'm also doing Vlogmas. That would just be silly. But it is fun to think. I've actually had a really successful reading year in terms of how many books I'm reading. So yay! No, Charlotte, you don't need to do it. You don't need to do it. You don't have time to do that, Charlotte. There's like a Smeagol and Gollum part of my brain right now that is like, do it. No, don't do it. I can't do a Gollum impression, I'm sorry. But there we go, that is my quick little roundup of all of the books that I read in November. Do let me know if you've read any of the books that I've spoken about today, or if you're interested in them. Just any thoughts you have, leave them down below. I'd also love to hear about any books that you finished in November. I hope you're having a fantastic day, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. Thanks. Bye.